we have such a special guest with us. I'm very excited. Our guest is Tracy Wallace, who's the Director of Marketing at Marketer Hire. Sorry. Tracy, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I am Tracy Wallace, Director of Marketing over at Marketer Hire, which is a platform that connects businesses, companies to expert marketers on an hourly, part-time, or full-time basis, kind of up to you. We also help folks just kind of understand what type of marketers they need for specific problems, so on and so forth. But I come to marketing leadership through content marketing and SEO. So I was the global editor-in-chief over at BigCommerce for almost 5 years. And then before that actually came from the journalism world. So worked over at Elle Magazine, Time Out New York, Mashable, all of that a very long time ago. But that's kind of the way that I think about marketing and begin to position my world.
So today we are going to have such a fun chat on SEO and content marketing and content creation. I am very excited. And before I jump into that, I just want to say thank you to my amazing sponsor, Restream. Check it out. If you use this link, restream.io/Goldie/join/Goldie, you'll get $10 off a Restream membership. And you can also do amazing live streams like I'm doing right now, where we are streaming live across LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I mean, we're basically everywhere on the internet right now. So let's get into it, Tracy.
And it was very easy. I just clicked the link and was in.
Exactly. So it's so easy to have. You can have up to 10 people in the live stream, which is very, very cool. So I personally love to use it. Thank you again to Restream. Let's get into some fun questions about SEO. So Tracy, for those of us out there who are less familiar with SEO and thinking about SEO, where is the first place we even start when thinking about SEO plus content?
Oh, what a great question. Where would you first start? So, I often like to start with the blogs of some of the companies that really help content marketers and SEO people kind of piece things together. So Ahrefs, that's Ahrefs. I'm not sure how to say that. If anybody in the comments and anywhere else wants to tell me, I would love help. Everyone I know seems to say it differently. That is my favorite tool. They also have a really great blog that you can go and read. They do a fantastic job. There's also SEMrush as well as Moz.com, other really popular tools. There's another tool called clearscope.io. That also has a blog that you can go read and kind of start diving into. So those might be places that I would start. And then, of course, all of those blogs get very deep on a variety of different niche topics. They also write very long form content in general. So it will definitely give you a good kind of overview of that entire world. But yeah, if you were just getting started and you're like, cool, just want some background on this stuff, those are some really good places to start.
So I think that's so many good resources, of which I feel like I know maybe a quarter of them that I'm familiar with. But one of the things I think that's so interesting about SEO is people think it's just keywords. It's obviously not just keywords, but let's start at the place where people are familiar, and let's talk about a little bit about keywords and hashtags and things like that.
Sure. Well, so, I often think that a really good way to really understand SEO and what it's evolved into is understanding a little bit of the history. So you mind if I kind of I back up a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So my first job out of college, which may be aging myself a little bit here, but my first job out of college was at a company called Demand Media. And I actually joined that organization, I think, like 2-3 weeks away from when they IPO'd, right? Which was like my first entrance or visibility into that world. But essentially what Demand Media did at the time was they were what was known as a content farm. They would buy queries from Google, other search engines, and then send those queries through a variety of algorithms and sometimes human assistants to figure out, is this a good headline? Is this a question we could answer in 500 to 800 words? If the answer was yes, that would then go off to a writer who maybe got paid $25 to write a how to bake a cake article under 800 words, and that like went live on the internet on one of a variety of different properties, whether that was like eHow or livestrong.com, a bunch of different things. So that was kind of the beginning of SEO. At least that was the beginning to my entrance of it. So I'm just going to introduce y'all to where I got in. But that was kind of the beginning of it, right? Organizations were looking at exactly what people were searching for on Google and then trying to match those exact queries with content. Now, fast forward about a year or so, Google released an algorithm update that like pretty much squashed all of those organizations. They caught on really quickly to what those organizations were doing, and it makes sense. Those organizations weren't necessarily publishing great content. Paying someone $25 to write an article that's only 800 words on how to bake a cake, probably not gonna like tell you everything you need to know about how to bake a cake, probably not gonna be the best piece of content, right? So they squashed that pretty quickly. And then we moved into this world where folks were trying to get like as many related keywords as they possibly could into blog posts, right? Now, we all kind of remember this era. It was like the Tumblr era. Tumblr did this with a bunch of different hashtags. And as a matter of fact, you can even still see remnants of this era over on Amazon. Amazon has its own search algorithm, very different from Google's. Google's is a lot more mature, but over on Amazon, similar thing. When you're tagging things and products to get up on Amazon, you want to stuff those full of all the different possible keywords. YouTube is a little bit like this as well, right? Which is owned by Google. So anyways, neither here nor there. So that's how this was back on Google for a long time, which was.
But that is, to totally interrupt you, that's super fascinating that this is still happening with Amazon descriptions. And I think we all know what you mean when you go and look for even just say a circle light, right? And there are a ton of hilarious tags that may or may not be relevant just to get into the search.
Yes, exactly, right? So people wrote like that for a while, trying to optimize for Google on page one, whatever. Google algorithm again got updated because, as you pointed out, when you allow people to stuff keywords into articles or into tags or into whatever, you're going to end up with a lot of things that aren't all that relevant. So that then brings us to this kind of current era, which is often based on this keyword cluster theory. So before I go into what that theory is, let's stop right here, put this out into the world for everyone to know. Google does not tell anybody how their algorithm works.
Right.
All of the information out there on how the Google algorithm works is based on practitioners, people doing it, people seeing what's ranking, what isn't ranking. Sometimes Google tells you when there's going to be an algorithm update. Most of the time they don't. It's just kind of up to people to figure it out. The one rule, by and large, and you can tell this based on all of Google's former algorithm updates, is if you publish quality content, over time, those articles are going to do better. Now, over time, very subjective. Will it do better in 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years? Great questions. We don't know, right? So the keyword cluster theory is this idea that Google has gotten so sophisticated, that Google algorithm has gotten so sophisticated that it can recognize similar terms for an overall parent category. And you actually see this in a lot of the tools I mentioned, right? So Ahrefs will show you a parent category as well as kind of smaller search terms under that. Clearscope.io helps you optimize for that entire keyword cluster. But to give you a better idea of what I even mean by keyword cluster is, imagine you want to write an article, the best article on the web, about dachshunds, right? Again, this is a very common. They are so cute, so cute. In that article, you're probably going to want to talk about things like, I don't know, maybe the dachshund history, where the dachshund comes from. Probably also going to want to talk about other words that people call dachshunds, like wiener dogs. Pretty common for people to call them that, right? All of that is super important for Google because the more of those tangential keywords you include in that article, the wider breadth that Google is going to think that that article has, right? This is
Wow.
often
So
why you see.
I'm going to stop you right here again and just reiterate that to everyone who's listening to this now or in the future, which is when you are thinking about creating your content that's SEO optimized, to use that word, of course, optimized, you want to think about your main keyword and then all of the keywords that are directly related to that, that people commonly use with that keyword. Is that correct?
Yes, and there's a very easy way for you to build a content brief that would do this for you. Now, love all my SEOers out there. Often you got to pay them anywhere from $500, $1,500 to build out a content brief. And let me tell you how I'm about to tell you how to do it, which is the free quick way. They do it way better, for sure. But doing it the way I'm about to explain, can it get you like 80% of the way there? Yes. So whatever article it is that you want to write, let's take a dachshund again, like, I don't know, like how to raise a dachshund, whatever. Type that into Google and look at what Google is providing you back. So first and foremost, has it popped up any questions in what is often considered the position 0 box? So what other questions is it recommending? Copy all of those questions, like maybe open a few, make it go down to like 10, whatever. Copy all those questions, paste it over in a Google Doc, and then scroll all the way down to the end of the page under related searches. Copy all those related searches, go and paste that in a Google Doc. You can also get a keyword tool called, keyword. I'm going to have to get back to you on exactly what it is.
So I think what we will do later, because I am attempting to write this. So here is the pro tip that you just said in super tiny font so everyone can reread that. But Tracy, I think what we'll do is I will work with you to make a LinkedIn article that has all these resources so folks can look at it later and also refer to you and also Marketer Hire if they have any questions about this.
Perfect.
Perfect. So, but here is the really quick pro tip that you just said, which is type that term that you're looking for into Google, see what questions pop up at position 0. For those of you that don't know, it's that little box that is that first box on Google search. And then also make sure you copy any related searches. So I'm assuming if they're looking up dachshund, they're also looking up wiener dog. They're also looking up all of these related search terms. So keep that in mind.
Yes. And then there's that tool is called Keywords Everywhere, free tool. You can download that as like a Chrome extension. And that will pop up a ton of other keywords on the side of your Google search. You're going to want to copy all of those. Also paste those into a Google Doc. And then now you essentially have basically all of the tangential keywords. Yes, there are going to be more. There are tools out there that can show you more. SEO people can help you get more. But again, you're about 80% of the way there. Now, look through all of the keywords, all of the questions, everything that Google has already served you, and just organize it in the way that makes the most sense, right? For your article, for the human mind. One big mistake that a lot of people make when they are optimizing content for search is they optimize it specifically for the bots. And that's great. You know, bots help things rank, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's people that are going to need to read your article. And we know that Google's algorithms over time update to what people like and what people do, right?
So you're saying that people actually need to make readable content around their search terms, and that's
readable,
SEO?
Interesting, right? Readable, interesting. Make sure you aren't writing in a bubble. Interview other people, get other ideas and thoughts, right? Anyways, organize your content effectively in the way that makes the most sense, and or organize all the keywords, questions. Now, all of those keywords, all of those questions, and this is also very important, should be either H2s or H3s in your article. So that's header 2s, header 3s. Organization for Google bots, very important, right? Make sure that any piece of content that you are writing and publishing, that you have the proper header, paragraph tags on them. Very, very important. And then all the things that should mostly be those headers are typically what Google is telling you people are searching for in relation to what it was that you put on there. So cool. Organize it all, write it all, make it the best article, go crazy, make sure you add images, make sure that you name those images properly, should probably have your keyword in there. Make sure you size those images properly, under 1,000 pixels. And then make sure that all of those have metadata as well. And then of course, begin thinking about accessibility for folks who are coming on, who maybe might not be able to see the images. They will have those images read to them, a variety of different things. Make sure there's actual text there for that to happen. Google says right now that they are optimizing for that, but come May, they actually will be optimizing for that. So accessibility is going to be far more important moving forward, which is a really good thing. It should just.
And I think I get a lot of lectures, or I've seen a lot of lectures in my feed about alt text, and making sure that alt text is optimized for screen readers and not necessarily for SEO keywords, right?
Yes. Yeah. Explain what it is, right? So like one of the things we do is if I'm writing an article, say on SMS marketing, I'll be like SMS marketing data chart 1, SMS marketing data chart from 2015, though hopefully you're not pulling something from 2015. Hopefully it's sooner than that. They're like more recent than that. But
2015, that's ancient times. We're basically in the dark ages.
But yeah, so I mean, I know that's a lot of information, but in terms of beginning to understand and get a grasp of SEO, whatever content it is that you want to write, Google will tell you what other things people are searching for. Use that stuff. Read the articles that are ranking #1. Pull in some of their ideas. That does not mean like plagiarize. It means take some of the ideas that they had in there, especially if you have a different opinion or additional data or whatever it is, be sure to include that. And then of course,
I'm going to assume that Google does not like when you literally directly plagiarize entire pieces of other content, or does it not matter?
Oh, this has been a debate for a while. So used to, there was this thought that Google, hurt websites that were publishing duplicate content. And I think like a while back, yes, that was true. Now, some people have data showing that it does matter. Some other people have data showing that it doesn't matter. Ultimately, though, the reason why you shouldn't plagiarize is just because like it's not a nice human thing to do. And at the end of the day, again, the bots are optimizing for what humans like. And we are getting smarter with all of our technology, especially Google. Their algorithms eventually will account for that. And the biggest benefit of SEO, right, is that you can publish a content today and within a year be driving 10, 100, 1,000x traffic to that piece of content. If you mess something up during creation, you're gonna have to go back and fix that, which you should go back on all your SEO posts at least once a year and update them. So I guess it's not that big of a deal, but you know, be a good arbiter of content publishing as you are putting content out there.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I have so many friends who are just content. I'm certainly a content SEO novice, but what I am good about is doing a ton of original content, and I do so much original content that it ends up being SEO optimized just because I do so much original content around certain keywords. And I think that's the other way to do it, right? Which is not the smart way. So I'm throwing that out there, but it's certainly another way to rank really highly for keywords, which is creating a ton of original content around that keyword, original writing, original videos, etc.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing you want to be careful of there is essentially creating content that is too similar. And so you begin to compete against yourself, right? So you do just want to be mindful of URLs, where things live. And then again, I said this earlier, so we'll just continue to repeat it, which I often need it repeated to me because I am not the world's most organized person naturally. Yeah. Google loves organization, right? So the more you can organize it for those bots as they are going through and reading everything. So the better structure you have, H1s, H2s, H3s, The more you can even, like, Russian nesting dolls. Like imagine at good SEO sites like that, where you have like a really big doll on content marketing, and then another doll in there about SEO marketing, and then another doll in there about technical SEO marketing, right? And it's all just following this kind of same URL system stream structure. That's good. That's real good.
That sounds amazing, first of all. And second of all, it sounds like it is kind of a never-ending process, right? A really good SEO article is a living product almost, and that you have to go back and keep it updated.
Yeah. So Google likes to see, and again, Google doesn't tell anybody what they like or do not like. They do not tell anybody what the algorithms like. This is just people practicing for a long time and beginning to learn what works and what doesn't. Updating content helps a lot. So most organizations that have really great SEO, they will, build that over a certain set of time, and then they typically go back into their best performing pieces and update them anywhere from 1 to 2 times a year. That's adding new data, adding new backlinks, adding new images, adding new quotes. This can be helpful because you can just then like republish the piece, right? And it's like a brand new piece. It looks brand new. A lot of the data in it is brand new. But yes, publishing one piece of long form content, that is not the last time you need to touch it. You need to keep going back, keep updating it. You also have to distribute it, right? Backlinks are very important to the bots, right? Making sure that a high or multiple high domain ranking websites are linking back to your content. That is really important. If you
for those that don't know what a backlink is, essentially, a backlink is being able to connect, say, your article, your blog to all of these other places. So it's going to backlink to your physical piece of content. I have a great question here. I'm just going to put it up on screen from Rebecca. Any ideas for great SEO companies?
Ooh, okay. So SEO like agencies and freelancers that might be able to help, or companies that do SEO well. So like, let's start with that second part. Companies that do SEO well. I mean, Shopify knocks it out of the park. BigCommerce does a bunch of great work. Drift is doing a ton of cool work, even just in terms of like an organization that is kind of pushing the limits and trying out a variety of different and new things. Both Drift and Intercom are doing a lot of good work. And then of course, SEMrush and Ahrefs are like, they have SEO tools that they're marketing, of course, but their own SEO and content marketing is really good, as it should be, right? If it wasn't, they wouldn't, right? But yeah, so those organizations are all doing a fantastic job.
And we have a question from Paul. Never had much luck with SEO. As a consultant, all the big business schools and big strategy consultancies show at the top. What do I do? So I think this is a question on how you differentiate yourself and your brand using SEO in Google search.
Yeah. So Paul, what you can do is go and get like a free trial to Ahrefs or SEMrush. I'm not exactly sure how SEMrush works. Pretty sure it's similar to Ahrefs. But if you go over, like, they have a free trial, I think it's 7 days or something, and then it's $99 a month after that, whatever. Type in the types of keywords that you ultimately want to be ranking for, and that tool is going to show you the difficulty of those words. Right now, for you, if you don't have a ton of time to like put into SEO, maybe you can only publish, 1 article a month. That's great, right? But you want that article to be as targeted as possible, to work as hard for you as possible. Well, then you're probably going to need to go a little bit more long tail. That just means a longer keyword, right? Rather than those really short keywords. Now, those have less traffic, but they also are a lot easier to rank on page 1 for. And over time, the more articles that you get ranking on page 1, the higher your domain authority or domain ranking gets, and the easier it's going to be for you to begin to compete with those larger companies. So if you don't have a big budget, if you don't have a lot of time, you're starting from the ground up, there's a bunch of places already winning on the major keywords you want to go after. Get a tool that'll show you how challenging those keywords ultimately are, and begin to build out longer keywords that you can go after that reduce that difficulty.
Yep. And I think that's such a good way to think about it, right? You're not trying to compete against those articles that also sometimes you see these articles that have been around for years and years. And they've just been on rank 1, page 1 forever. And so it's nice to swoop up behind them and create a lot of other articles that are around that subject.
Yes. Well, and one other fun piece of advice for people starting out is, I know people get like really stoked and excited about branding their companies, coming up with these cool names, going and getting a brand new domain. If you are starting from scratch, do not go buy a new domain, especially if SEO is something that you want to win at, or that's going to be a big part of your strategy. Go instead and find a site that is, the older the better. Honestly, the older the better. Go find one of those sites and buy it. Google rewards longevity on the internet. So buying a brand new domain, it's going to be way harder to get that to rank than it is going and buying a site that's 10 years old, redesigning it and beginning to publish content there. That's going to move up the rankings way faster.
That is such an interesting idea too. So where could people find these older URLs to buy? I'm assuming just going on any of the domain purchasing sites and just looking and seeing what's on sale.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I cannot think of exactly how to do it off the top of my head, but probably could if I was like messing around on the internet. So maybe this can go in the like LinkedIn post that we write after this.
Great.
But type in, like, come up with a variety of different names, type those in, whatever. The ones that have URLs already, especially if they look like they're URLs that aren't being used, those are your targets. One, you can reach out to them, make an offer, $100, $200, $500, whatever. Or you can just go and look up that domain on like GoDaddy or wherever else and see when it expires. Mark your calendar, mark your time, and then do what you can as soon as that time comes up and that URL is expired to hop in there and buy it. People do that all the time. It is a very sneaky way to get URLs from other people. Also, if you have a URL,
someone said scouring the internet for it, which is absolutely true.
Yeah. And then of course, remember, if you have a URL and you don't want someone to take it from you, make sure that stuff is on auto renew, because people will come and buy it from you.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's so funny when you're sitting on URLs and people desperately want them, they will definitely offer to buy them. It's actually something that I know a few of my friends do, which is they just have a ton of URLs that just sound interesting that they've just sat on. Yeah, has nothing to do with SEO, but it's just simply a good, I guess, business decision in case you ever want to make money from selling interesting URLs.
Oh yeah, even NFTs have, like, there's domain name NFTs. We're not going to get into that here, but like that just is like another proof point that domain names are very powerful.
Domain names are very powerful, and we won't get into that at all here. But I will say, when I looked up Goldie.eth versus GoldieChan.eth, which is one I have, Goldie.eth was, of course, I think $7,000, and then, or $12,000. It was something. Right. A lot more than I wanted to spend, versus Goldie Chan was $70. So
there you go.
There you go. And I think you know which one I purchased. So yes. So okay, great. I am so glad we got to talk about all these amazing strategies, tips, tactics, products that can help us do SEO better. And Tracy, we are definitely going to sit down and create an article together that will be a breakdown of some of the amazing things that we said here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you to Tracy. Any last words for our SEO adventurers out there?
Our SEO adventures. I mean, these are the words that I give my editors in general, right? Which is like, look, SEO is really important. It helps you rank. It helps you drive traffic. That matters a ton. And I know I've said it a lot in here already, but the bots ultimately change, the algorithms update to what humans are doing and what humans enjoy. So let SEO be more of like the like bumpers rather than what is ultimately dictating your strategy, because what you risk is publishing content that is only relevant to a bot versus being actually relevant to to a human, and that also won't work. You could drive a ton of traffic to your site and nobody hangs around and does anything, and that's not going to be very beneficial. So it's a balancing act between the like bumpers of SEO and ultimately publishing content that is relevant for people, helpful for people, gets them to take an action.
Amazing. And I forgot to ask in the beginning, so let's go through it now. Tracy, can you tell us a little bit more about Marketer Hire?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I talked a little bit about it in the beginning, but it's a talent marketplace for marketers. So if you're a company who needs to hire marketers, we have a bunch of expert marketers. Most of them are freelancers. You can hire them part-time, full-time, hourly, by and large is what folks are coming to us for. And I mean, we have everyone coming to us from Netflix and Tushy down to folks who have just started. It's really helpful if you need to get something off your plate or you have low bandwidth, or you just need to get a project across the finish line. We have interim CMOs, brand marketers, social media marketers, content marketers, SEO marketers, so many different things. Even if you're not sure what you need, but you know like what a KPI is that you need to hit or some project that you need to hit and you don't know what kind of marketer would be helpful, we can help you figure out who that would be.
Perfect. So I super love that. And I think it is so helpful to have a resource where you can hire marketers. What an amazing idea. Thank you everyone for tuning into this fun chat about SEO and content and the great old internet. I will see you again next week, and stay safe out there, everyone. Bye.